and some additional upsets. We're probably going to shake it up a little bit. And we got some guests coming on today as well. So we're looking forward to talking ball, and we're looking forward to some guests joining us. Rico, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Got me a workout in this morning. Feeling pretty good. Ready to talk some ball and talk to our guests we got coming on today. Good day for, some football talk.
I love it. I love it. First off, before we get our guests joining us, I guess we can just talk for a moment about the number one team. Georgia came to town yesterday. They showed up once again. It's you know what, when you can run the football and you can play defense, your team seems to travel pretty good. And that's something I've realized since I was about 4 years old and started watching football. You play defense well, you got a good D-line, you got good linebackers, you can cover, you can run the ball, you can pretty much go anywhere and win. And that's what we've seen out of Georgia. And I've got to admit, I've been pretty accurate on my predictions all year, but I will admit when I'm wrong. And I was wrong about the Georgia quarterback. This little guy, man, he's pretty damn good. I didn't think he'd be able to do it. I watched him play last year when he got a chance, and was not impressed. And I just didn't know if he'd be able to handle it come crunch time. But he looked pretty good yesterday. What do you think about Georgia taking care of the Vols yesterday, buddy?
Is that a trick question, Nate? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do I think about?
I mean, what do you think of the Bulldogs? You think they're number one? You think they're going to run the table? What do you think?
I think they are, Nate. That game bothers me. Anytime my Vols lose, it bothers me. But they're legit. They're legit number one. They take care of business every week. They leave no doubts about it. They get out there. They play good football. Their quarterback's getting it done. You saw him when things got a little tight, at the beginning of the game, and he didn't fold. That defense is, who they say they are. That defense is as advertised. And I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to that SEC championship game. If it's them and Bama, man, that's going to be a special game. And I don't know who I'm picking in that game if I had to pick one. What are your thoughts? Who are you picking and why?
Honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards Bama just because I think they're, I think they can score on this Georgia team. I mean, I know Georgia's held everybody else pretty low, but, the Vols put up 17 on them, and I think that Bama can score more. So pretty, going to be pretty interesting to see how it shakes out. And I think that, the quarterback's gotten better. He showed yesterday that he can run when he has to, and he can throw. And, honestly, the Vols are the same thing every week. They play tough until the second half, and then they run out of gas. But that's a depth issue, and we know all about that. Looks like we got our first guest is here and ready to go. We're going to go ahead and bring him on. He is Montario Hardesty, the running backs coach for the University of South Carolina Gamecocks, a former legend down the street here in Knoxville. And I wore my Brownies jersey today because he rocked it for the Cleveland Browns as well. Let's see what's up with Coach Mo.
What's going on, man?
Hey.
What's good?
How y'all doing? What up, Fi? How you doing?
We good, baby. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, real quick. So, look, man, they just called 11-10 offensive staff, so I ain't got a long time, man, so let's get this thing going.
Let's roll. Go ahead, Nate. I'll let you get some questions off first.
All right. I'll shoot it off. Coach Mo, first off, thanks for coming on, man. We love having you. I know you don't have much time, so we'll get right to it. I just wanted to ask you your overall thoughts. We were just talking about Georgia. You saw them this year. They're ranked number one. They seem to be rolling pretty good. What are your thoughts on their team as a whole? And obviously, you faced them and game planned against them. What do you think about their defense as a unit?
Man, they have a really good unit, man. Those guys are sound. They play team ball. They all attack the ball. They're all comfortable in the team, and they got speed at the second level. So they're going to be a tough defense and a tough outing for anybody to play against, man. Those guys do a good job, and they got a lot of senior leadership, and guys just been through the ringer in SEC. So those guys are playing well already.
Now look, Doc, I gotta ask you.
What you got?
Being a VFL,
okay,
being a Vol legend, how was it? How was it coaching against the Vols?
It was different. It was definitely different. But throughout the week, man, I'm here at Gamecock, man. We put a good plan, and it was all focused on beating the Vols and let's go. But then getting back and seeing a lot of people that I know I had good relationships with, seeing Hawk and seeing a lot of guys that I grew up with. That was good. But for me, it wasn't once I got going through the visiting locker room.
Yeah,
it was cool. That was the only thing that was cool. Other than that, it was let's go win a football game.
For sure. For sure.
No doubt. Hey, Coach, I just want to ask you a little bit about your guys. I watched the Florida game, and man, you had a tremendous day. Kevin Harris, Zaquandre White, Lloyd even got some carries. Talk to us a little bit about your boys carrying the football and what you think about your unit as a whole as the running backs.
All those guys have really good skill sets, different skill sets. They are coming along, and this is just about staying consistent and making sure that we inch forward. Don't have any negative yard plays and things like that. And against Florida, we had a few good weeks of preparation. We had some things that came through, and you were able to see those guys get out in some open space and make some moves, and see what we can be as an offense if we execute and do our schemes the right way. So that's just something we got to continue to harp on. As you watched the game last night, we didn't get the outcome that we wanted to do. So I'm in the office right now, going back to the game board. But we got guys Lloyd, Harris, Juju, Z White, that can all make plays, and we just got to continue finding ways to get those guys in really good spots.
Cool. Well, look, Coach, we're
Hey, hold on. I got a question, man. So tell me your experience, man. So I started off at Chowan. I was at Norfolk State. Tell me your experience right now. How you liking the coaching, man? And tell me your experience in the HBCU ranks, man.
Hey, man, it's different, man. It's definitely different. You get to spend a lot more time with the kids, being as though it's a smaller university, man. And I love it. I love getting to get to know these kids on a personal level, and being on campus all day, man. It makes it easy to do. The kids are always right around you at the calf, coming through the sportsplex. I live on campus, so I get to see the kids. I'm taking the trash out.
At the calf and everything.
I'm at the camp and everything. So, man, it's different. But hey, look, and the main thing is this: game days, Coach. The bands.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord, I love it. I love it.
The bands are great, Coach. You already know I was a part of it. We had a really good band. So tell me this, man. I got to go here in a second, but so are you a Browns fan originally, or did you just rock it because I was coming on?
No, man. I collect game-worn jerseys from everywhere. That's my little side business.
You got right there. Who's that?
That's Jamie Collins, Sr.
I got you.
The linebacker from the Patriots and plays for the plays back. He's actually back on the Patriots now. So.
But look, fellas, I gotta go run this meeting, man. Hey, Five, good to have y'all up here. Y'all gotta get me back on, man, a little bit later when I got more time.
For sure, bro. Thanks for joining.
You're always welcome. Thank you, Mo.
All right,
thank you, guys. All right, that was Montario Hardesty, legend of the Tennessee Volunteers, the Cleveland Browns, and now coaching up the running backs for the South Carolina Gamecocks. I got to be honest, I've been impressed with what I've seen out of South Carolina the last few weeks. I know they lost yesterday, but they beat the crap out of the Florida Gators and had a really good game plan against Florida. And Florida's got some issues going on, but we've still seen they can be a good football team. So walloping them 40-17 was impressive. And now the Gamecocks sit 5-5, so they got a shot to make a bowl game in Coach Beamer and Coach Hardesty's first year. And,
which is impressive. It's that's good momentum. That's improvement from where they were for sure.
Oh, definitely. And you know better than me, in big time football, if you can make a bowl game, you get that extra month of practice. And you tell me, I've heard from everybody that helps a lot going into the next season, getting that extra work.
Well, you know who it helps. It helps your whole team, but it helps those guys that were redshirted can play.
Yeah.
Also, if you have early enrollees, they can suit up and they can practice. And if
That's
you
right.
wanted to, you could play them. I remember my senior year. Who was it? Lane Kiffin, of course, there was the head ball coach.
Yep.
We had Tyler Bray down there getting reps as an early enrollee, and that's valuable time right there for a young guy.
Yeah.
You know, or you get some guys that suffer injuries in camp and miss the season. Guess what? They can get ready to go for the bowl game, get some practice in, and you know that's a couple weeks. It's a couple weeks, and you get to get out there, and it's live. So I'm sure the coaches enjoy that extra month of ball. It's definitely advantageous.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And, you know, I wish them all the best. I love Coach Beamer, as you know. Always liked Frank, and good buddies with Clayton Beamer, a buddy of mine that I grew up with who's family with that crew. So I cheer for them. And Coach Mo, definitely a friend of the program. We appreciate him coming on today. And glad he squeezed us in during his meetings. But as we were talking about with the Georgia, you know, it's tough for Tennessee because, you know, they've been playing well. This was kind of their shot to, you know, step it up another level. I got the 2 5s together right here now. I got your Rico McCoy, and I got your Hendon Hooker here too. I got to meet the quarterback on Thursday night. Great kid, real kind of quiet guy, but really nice and a really quality dude. I just met him for about 10, 15 minutes, but really like him, and I love the way he's playing. And he had a good game yesterday too. It's just, you know, as we talked about the depth issue, they seem to, you know, get worn out by teams that are deeper than they are. And that's really all they got going. But I have to admit, I wasn't sure about Coach Heupel. I didn't know what to expect from him coming in, but I think he's doing a tremendous job coaching these guys and game planning each week, considering you know, the depth deficiency.
He definitely surprised me, and I'm a fan. But you know what got me thinking was when we had Coach Fulmer here. Yeah, he gave that stamp of approval. I was like, yeah, Coach knows something, because normally he'll wait a little while to give his thoughts on a coach, and he was like, no, I like the hire, I like the guy, I think he can do it. And I was like, Coach knew something. He saw something in him before me for sure. But I'm happy, man. I'm happy we got him, and he's making the best out of that roster that he has right now, which is impressive.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And you know, I think once he gets a chance to recruit some of his own guys, and you know, get some additional players in, you know, through the portal. Really, this year, if you look at it, a lot of his big time dudes are guys he got from the portal. I mean, he got Evans, the running back, out of the junior college ranks. The quarterback Hooker he got from, you know, Virginia Tech. So, you know, he made good work of the short time he had. So very impressed with that.
Look, Nate, it's something I noted. Going into an unsure situation where you don't have a legit stamped quarterback.
Yeah.
You want to try to bring in a couple guys, don't you? You know, if there's one thing I learned from him, it's you got to have options at quarterback. Yeah. And kind of, if you compare the two, is that the difference between – well, and also Tim Banks on the defense. I told you, I've been giving him praises since I heard he got the job. I've known him a long time. He's an amazing coach. Players love playing for him. He's a positive guy. And you've heard the players talk about that, haven't you? How it's a positive environment, how the guys love to be there. They love getting coached up by him. So I'm not discounting him and his contribution, but the difference, away from the defensive side of the ball, the difference between USC and Tennessee is that Tennessee's head coach went on and signed, 2 guys to bring in here just to make sure of options to find a guy to run his offense. I think that right there is the difference maker.
Yeah, and some of these guys came in to town, 3-4 weeks, before they started camp. So, that's what you want to do. I mean, why not? Why not get as many people as you can get in? I think he saw, the big recruit, Harrison Bailey, who they got the year before. He obviously struggled once he got on campus. He was third on the depth chart with the last staff. He was third on the depth chart here. And I think Coach Heupel knew he needed to bring some competition in. And it proved to be a very good idea because –
Was it great? It was great.
Hey, he found him a gem in Hooker. And sometimes a change of scenery can help a guy. Also, sometimes landing yourself in the perfect offense for your skill set can really, help you out. And this offense is good for what Hooker can do. And apparently that's a lot because he's shown me something. I'm very impressed with him. And, I hope he comes back for another year. But if he goes pro, I think he may get drafted because this quarterback class is not that strong. And he's proved he can do it, in my opinion.
I agree.
Also, we need to touch a little bit here. We'll stay in the SEC for right now. We already had an amazing guest in Mo Hardesty coming on earlier today, but we've got another guest coming up a little bit later, former Ohio State quarterback Steve Bellisari, a friend of the Man Coverage program, is going to come on and join us. So we're going to save the Big Ten for a minute. We're going to jump around the SEC here. I want to talk a little bit about the Auburn game first. Before we came on the air, I mentioned to you about what I saw from the Auburn game. Not a good look by the Auburn quarterback. They went up 28-3, similar to the Atlanta Falcons going up 28-3 on the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and the exact same thing happened. Auburn let them climb all the way back. Mississippi State scored 40 unanswered points and beat Auburn on their home turf. And after the game, they interviewed the quarterback, Bo Nix, and he said that the reason they lost was that the energy evaporated in the stadium after they got up so big, and that they lost their momentum due to that. So he was kind of blaming the fans. Not a great idea, in my opinion. What'd you think of the comeback, and what'd you think of the comment, Rico?
I always love to see Auburn lose.
Me too.
I can't stand Auburn. I'm
happy
that they lost.
Me too.
Mississippi State. Oh, and for him to say that, I mean, come on. This level, high caliber athlete, you have to be self-motivated. Cut it out.
Yeah.
Cut it out. You don't go blaming fans. I don't care if there's 5 people in the stands. You finish what you started. And it's about performing and your own expectations along with the teams. I don't know. That was a bit of a crybaby rant to say something like that. If you ask me, get out your feelings. You lost. The fans didn't play it down.
Nope.
The fans didn't play it down. And if anything, the fans impact the opposing team's offense. Not you when you're out there snapping the ball. So he's probably going to regret saying that because we talked about Auburn being all there is down there. And guess what? You're going to be talk of the town for a while.
Yeah, there is not a whole lot going on down in that area except for Auburn football, and those people down there, that's all they care about.
They won't take kindly to that.
Yeah, they won't take kindly to you blaming them for you sucking it up in the second half. And like you said, when you get to that level, you got to be self-motivated. You've got to do your job and follow the game plan, and you should have kept doing what you were doing in the first half. Instead of, playing. What I feel like a lot of times is teams they start playing to not lose instead of doing what they were doing before and trying to play to win. And sometimes that comes back to bite you in the second half of those games when you got big leads. So not a good look by Auburn, but like I said, I'm kind of happy about it. And I'm glad that I'm glad they lost because I don't like Auburn and I cheer for them to lose every game. So they did. And that pretty much takes them out. The only thing that this will do is that they'll have really nothing at stake in that Iron Bowl matchup, and their backs will be up against the wall. And, really the only thing they can do now is play spoiler to the Alabama Crimson Tide. So that game possibly might be a little bit more interesting now. So
they're in that position to do that thing that they love to do.
Yeah.
And that is spoil somebody's party. I'm telling you.
Yeah, they love doing that. And that's really all they got going on. So we got your boy Tyree Johnson from the DC area yesterday. I got to be honest, the A&M defense played pretty good. I was impressed. They were put in some horrible situations by their offense. For whatever reason, the A&M offense just could not get going. I think that quarterback is banged up. I know he got hurt last week, and he was playing with the brace on his shoulder, and he banged up his leg in this game. He just doesn't look right, and for that reason, they couldn't get it going all day. And the A&M defense held tough, but they just couldn't. It's hard to stop the other team and score points too when you're a defensive player. So Ole Miss played pretty well. I'll give them credit. Their defense is night and day from last year. Lane Kiffin did the same thing Heupel did. He went out and got him some ballers in the portal, and it's made a big difference on their defense. What do you think about Ole Miss going forward?
Mm-hmm. They definitely swapped out some guys, didn't he?
I'm telling you, man, that linebacker that they got from Maryland, that guy, he not only came in and makes a difference on the defensive end, but he makes a difference all over the field because he's a leader of that team. And, his name's Chance Campbell. And, they picked him up in the portal. He played for Maryland last year, and he came on campus in June or July, and he not only stepped into the starting role as their middle linebacker, but also stepped in the role as a leader. And I've been very impressed with him and his ability to improve that defense as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a solid player. He gets pressure on the QB every game.
Yeah.
Every game. I like him. He comes in there. He's playing 100 miles an hour. That's exactly. He's an example of what you were talking about. Coach knew that he had to upgrade the defense because the offense was rolling last year.
Yeah.
He just needed to get a stop or two, and he couldn't do it last year.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a couple games where it's just like a stop, and they win the game. And they couldn't do it. And he added a couple guys and developed a couple guys that he had on the team, and they're playing good ball. What are they sitting at now? 8-2. Come on, I think they're getting their money's worth right now with Lane Kiffin. But
yeah,
on another note, will he be there next year?
Yeah.
Will he be there next year?
I'd love to say yes, but this guy's in his past, he has proven that he doesn't mind to jump around a little bit. And we've seen him so far in his career, go shift from job to job without much thought. And, I know he's a little bit older now, so maybe that'll make him put some roots down somewhere, but I don't think so. I think he's going to go wherever the bigger job lies, in my opinion. And right now we got USC, we got LSU, but there's going to be more jobs open up, Rico. You know that.
What about? I don't see him going to LSU. USC's not going to double back.
No.
But I feel like the only place he would leave for would be Florida Gators. And I also see that changing the way the SEC operates if he does that. It's going to change the pecking order again because he's that big name. He's that flashy guy. I think it'll be hard to get kids out of the state of Florida if you get a coach like Lane Kiffin down there running the Gators. What do you think?
You know what? I'm really glad you brought that up because I was thinking that earlier today, but it left my mind, and sometimes my mind just is a blank slate. So I completely forgot about that, but I think that is a very distinct possibility, especially after the last 2 weeks. We talked about it 3 weeks ago on this show that Mullen was in trouble the way that, there was stories leaking out. We don't have to get into it too deep today, but there's a lot of things going on down in Gainesville that are not good. And then you look at the Gamecock loss, which was embarrassing. Yesterday, they gave up 56 points to Samford.
Yes, sir.
Not Stanford, but Samford.
Yes, sir.
And, man, I just think he's playing – he already fired his defensive coordinator and his offensive line coach who have been with him since he was at Mississippi State.
Nate, you played high school ball at a high level. You played college ball.
Yeah.
When you get a loss like that to an opponent, I mean, not a loss, but when you give up points like that and yardage like that to a team that's that far beneath you, you know that the team has done what?
They've given up.
They've checked out.
They quit. They quit playing for him.
Yep.
And, there's a lot of different factors going into that, but I think that the university, the administration, the boosters, the fans, they can see it as well as we can.
Of course they can. And look, I'm not going back on what I said 3 weeks ago. I still believe that there's not a better coach sitting on the couch, but I didn't say that there wasn't a better coach actively coaching. You know what I mean?
No, you know what? I never really, put a ton of thought into it, but that might be the perfect place for Lane. It really might be. It's a high profile job.
I hate to see it.
It's a place he can win championships, and I think that's what he wants.
It's a place where he can win championships. It's a place where he can recruit in-state and almost get everything that you need too. Yeah. I mean, receivers, running backs, DBs, linebackers. Come on, Nate. It's all there in the Sunshine State.
Yeah, no, it's true, man. And this might be something he can't pass up because we know the Gators aren't afraid to open that checkbook, man. They'll back the Brinks truck up to his house, and they'll not only hand him the money, but they'll put his ass in the truck and lock him up and drive him back to Gainesville because
yes, they will.
They want to win down there in a big way, and I just don't know. In fact, I'm almost positive that I don't think Dan Mullen can recover from what's happened in this year. I just don't see him coming back next year and being like, oh, last year was an anomaly. Hey boys, get back on my back and I'll lead you. And I just don't see that happening. Too much has happened.
Heck of a coach, though. Heck of a coach.
He's a great coach. I think he's a great coach and a very good offensive play caller and a very good schemer on offense. But things have taken a turn downward, and I'm not sure he can recover from this, but we'll see.
Not there. I don't see him bouncing back there. But no. Would this be crazy? Would it be crazy for him to be offered? It can almost be like musical chairs. I can see him standing in this conference now.
Yeah.
And getting a head coaching job.
Yeah. Oh, I do too.
Am I crazy to think that he might swap positions or possibly go to LSU? Hey, listen, Dan Mullen is a good coach now. I still stick by it. Unless there's a coach coming from another big-time team that wants to come coach, there's not a guy coming off the couch, like I said 3 weeks ago, that can fill that Ole Miss job or LSU job better than Dan Mullen.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And, they've still got Missouri next week at Missouri, and then they come back home to play Florida State. And, neither one of those teams are great, but Florida State's playing a lot better right now. They beat Miami yesterday, and Coach Norvell's got them playing better. And I'll tell you what, if they could beat Florida to end their season and jumpstart them for next year, that'd be a big win for the Seminoles.
You best believe that's what they're aiming for. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Come on. You have your goals set right now. And I bet you it's up everywhere in that facility for those players right now. We have to win this game. So we're going to see.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. But I definitely like that. I like where your head's at on that one. I think that may be a distinct possibility. Before we jump into the Big Ten and welcome in our quarterback, our resident quarterback, old Steve Bellisari, one thing that I did want to touch on was yesterday, the undefeated Oklahoma Sooners went down, and they went down in a big way down in Baylor, down in Waco, Texas. And our boy Dave Aranda, who we've talked about a lot on this show, you know, I'm almost positive that yesterday may have cemented his move to USC. I mean, this is a guy that's from California originally, and that was a big victory. I mean, Oklahoma had rattled off 17 straight wins until yesterday, and Caleb Williams was up on that Heisman race. And that defense of Baylor, led by Dave Aranda, it shut them down, man. I mean, they pulled Williams and put Spencer Rattler back in, who hadn't played in weeks. And hell, he couldn't do nothing either. So I don't know. I was very impressed by Baylor yesterday, especially bouncing back from that TCU loss. To come back and beat the Sooners like that, I was very impressed. What do you think about Coach Aranda, and what do you think about Baylor knocking off the Sooners?
That's a big time win for them. That defense showed up and played lights out. They were getting pressures all game. They got a bunch of sacks in that game. Okay, I think they had 8 or 9 TFL and 5 sacks. Okay, if you're hitting a quarterback that often, if you're in his face that often, you're gonna cause some bad throws. And they won the turnover battle. So they went to a turnover battle. You have a good rushing attack. I think their running back ran for 125, 124 yards, something like that.
Yeah.
If you can't stop the run game, you're in trouble. So good defense mixed with fewer turnovers and run game, and you complete your couple play action passes and stuff along the way, and this is what you get. But I've been hearing different things about that USC job, Nate. I'm gonna tell you a name that I heard.
What you got?
And he's from a school in the Big Ten, other than Michigan and Ohio State. And he's a big-time coach, and I'm hearing that he's a guy that they're wanting at USC. Who
Franklin?
am I talking about?
Franklin?
Yes, sir.
No, I've heard that too. I've heard that
sir.
too. I've heard I've heard that Fickle is a target. I've heard that Franklin is a target. I've heard that even PJ Fleck might be on their board, but you know, I think it's probably going to come down to Franklin and Aranda. That's my thoughts.
I can see that, and I think that Franklin edges it out because his record's crazy. I mean, we're talking about a guy that beat Tennessee 3 years in a row at Vanderbilt.
Vandy. Yeah. No, I mean, if you can win at Vandy in the SEC, you're.
But then watch the transition. Remember the transition. He goes to Penn State right after the scandal stuff, right? The big mess with fewer scholarships. And what's he do? He pushes them right through it, doesn't he?
Yeah. No, he's a good coach. I can't, I'm not a big fan of that guy, but he is a very good coach, and you do have to give him credit for what he's done there. My only thing is he hasn't gotten him over the hump, to win the Big Ten championship and get to the get to the playoff. But he's in the hunt pretty much every year except last year, and I think I do think they're looking hard at him. I think it's going to come down to him and Aranda from Baylor, and we'll see what happens. But I do think that's a big name and a good name that they're looking at.
But Nate, it's like saying it's the same thing they say about Georgia every year.
Yeah,
it's the same. It's the equivalent. He's in the conference with Ohio State.
Yeah,
Ohio State hasn't missed a beat for years now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's tough.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And speaking of Ohio State, we got a big victory yesterday, and I'd like to hear the thoughts about the old QB, the lefty. We're gonna go to the bullpen here and bring up Mr. Bellisari with us.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Steve, how you doing, buddy?
Welcome.
I'm good, man.
Hey, I don't know. I opened up ESPN this morning and I hear the big winners from Week 11 are the team up north and Cincinnati. And I was like, wait a second. I'm pretty sure my Buckeyes thumped the number 19 team in the country, Purdue. And so I'm not so sure that I'm ready to crown the Wolverines as the title winners just yet. And I was pretty impressed with the way the Buckeyes came out yesterday. The defense obviously, gave up some yards, but I think that's more a factor of the Purdue offense being good. And, our biggest thing, in my opinion, this year is we lead the country in sacks. We got 34 sacks. That defensive line started to get going. But, hell, he was getting the ball out of his hands so fast that there was no chance to sack him, really. And I think we did a good job of keeping it in front of us. What did you think about the Buckeyes, and what did you think about the win over Purdue?
A couple things. I think it's important to know how important Wilson is to our offense, right? Just a comparison from last week to this week. I mean,
oh my God, huge difference having him back.
Obviously, he's a game changer and makes everything different. But we probably could have scored 70 points in the first half.
Yeah.
So that changes the way you look at your defense and what plays you're calling. But I mean, I'm happy with where we're at, right? You've heard all the news and the analysis this morning, right? You want to be kind of picking up towards this back half, and that's exactly what we're doing. And you know what? I hope everyone continues to focus on Michigan and how great they think they're doing. Good. That's good for the Big Ten. That's good for us, right? People are tired of hearing about us. So good. Give some attention to Michigan, and we'll see what happens in a couple Sundays or Saturdays here. So.
No, it's going to come down to it. And Rico, me and you have talked a lot about Michigan State and their season so far. And they came back yesterday. I don't know if you got to check out that game at all, Rico, but they did come back and win after a tough loss. And I think that shows that Coach Tucker and the running back Walker aren't just going to fold. They're going to keep fighting, and obviously the Buckeyes got to play with them. And I want to get both your all's thoughts. Rico, I want to ask you first. Do you think the Buckeyes can handle Michigan State? You think their defense is good enough to stop Walker? And I want to get your thoughts first on that, Rico.
I do. I think Ohio State. Now, if we said, maybe within the first 3 weeks of the season, I'd say, oh, yeah. Michigan State. Hey, look, Michigan State can walk away with this thing if we were talking, back then. But now the boys are seasoned. The young guys are coming out of their shell. I think they'll make it out of the Big Ten and go play for something bigger. I like Michigan State. That running back, he's coming in. He's playing like a veteran. Bill Tucker has those guys playing. They bounce back, but no, I don't see them beating Ohio State. I'm going to be honest. And listen, they should have had more coverage on that Purdue game because Purdue is very dangerous. Purdue is a team that if you come in there and you're not focused and you're not treating them like Michigan or like you're playing a USC, you will come out of there with the sad face. And I'm happy that Ohio State went in there and took care of them. That's coach's preparation. You can tell that coach had him prepared, and it doesn't help to have an all-star back on offense like that. He was the difference too. It was no contest because of this guy. And coach had them all locked in because if they weren't, Purdue could have upset you guys. They can upset anybody, I feel like, if you don't come in there with the right mindset. So that's huge. And I think that right there set the line, set the tempo for the rest of the season for Old State, man. That was it.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And Steve, I loved your comment about Wilson. I should have led with that because it was the offense was night and day from last week with Nebraska because every time that we needed a big play, it seemed like we went to 5. And that guy is, I think, the best receiver in the country because he can do so much. Okay, 20 years of really good Buckeye football, and never has somebody had 3 touchdowns receiving and a touchdown rushing. So 4 touchdowns for a guy who we didn't even have last week. I think that was a big statement win.
Chris Gamble, Ted Ginn,
David Austin.
David, none of these guys have done it, man. That's a huge honor right there.
Yeah,
No doubt.
he's legit, and I think that of course, no one's talking about it because the only time anyone talks about my Buckeyes are when we lose, and then all of a sudden every story is about us. But that's fine, and like you said, Steve, I agree with you. I'm glad that it's like that because that'll give us motivation. But I think that game yesterday was huge going into next week and the following week. What are your thoughts, Steve? Same question I asked Rico. What do you think about matching up against Mel Tucker and Michigan State?
Well, I would agree. Last week or this week, it was a tempo game, right? We needed that momentum coming into the next week. Here's what worries me about Michigan State. One is their coach, right? Mel Tucker's a hell of a coach.
Yep.
That running back is going to get his. You're not going to stop him, right? If you look at his stats compared to what some of the last Heisman Trophy winners, he's killing it. So he's going to get his yards. They match up well against us, right? They're going to be physical in the secondary. They're going to play sound defense. They're not going to make any mistakes. They're going to try to keep everything in front of us. But they have the blueprint to beat us, to be honest, right? Run the ball, control the clock, keep the ball out of our offensive hands. But if we do just even half of what we did this past week, we'll be fine, right? My thought is where we're at in the season, the only reason we lose will be on us, right? It'll be on play calling and just not doing what we were supposed to do. No different than Georgia or Alabama at this point in the season. Like, if they're going to lose a game, it's because they didn't prepare or do something right, make any adjustments, you name it. So it's in front of us. We got to go out and take care of business with Michigan and Michigan State, and then worry about our rival in Michigan. And then when you start looking at the Big Ten, Wisconsin's getting sneaky good again, right? They're controlling the ball, doing what they need to do, and then you got to see them in the Big Ten championship. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the Wisconsin team we expected to see from the beginning of the season, and why they took a dump on themselves the first 3 weeks. I'm not really 100% sure what was going on, but it seems like they've gotten right at the right time. And I don't know, both you guys, how much you got to see of the team up north and the Penn State game yesterday, but I really think that was a game that Penn State and Rico, we were talking about Coach Franklin. He had a tremendous game plan, and he wasn't holding back. I mean, he went for it with a fake punt. He did a fake field goal. He went for it on 4th and 2 from the 2. I mean, hell, he wasn't holding back, man. And that's what I do like about Coach Franklin is he plays to win the damn game. And I feel like, and Rico, I'll ask you this first. My opinion is they could have won that game if Penn State could run the damn ball. I mean, their rushing game has just been horrible this year, and they have no opportunities at all to have any balance in their offense because they can't run. What do you think about them not being able to run, and what do you think about that game in general yesterday? Michigan's getting a lot of credit for beating them, but the Buckeyes beat their ass 2 weeks ago, and no one said a word. But they beat them by 4 points, and it's like they won the championship. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that game, and why can Penn State not run this year? I don't get it.
They weren't creating space at that line of scrimmage. They weren't creating any holes, and they also don't have those running back stars like that they used to have. I think they missed maybe on a couple of recruits as far as getting the backs in that they need. But more importantly, I didn't see the lanes there that you needed. They weren't special talents at running back, but there was nowhere really to run. And I don't know if that's the personnel or, but Michigan was the better team. I think Michigan was the more talented team, if you ask me. Looking across the board, Michigan had more talent on both sides of the ball than Penn State. And I think that's why the ball coach was taking those, risks and did those things because he knew we got to try to win now. We got to try to make these plays. We need momentum plays. And I think that's what made him coach that style of ball was I know I don't have the guys to outlast these guys. I need to go and try to shift the momentum, try to get a play while we're here. I'm not trying to drive back down here another 80 yards. Let me try while I'm at the 2-yard line. And I think that was his mindset. And, hey, they lose by 4, but they look like the least talented team on the field, if you ask me. I could be wrong, but that's what it looked like to me.
No, I agree. And Steve, I know that you played in the game, and it looks to me like if the Buckeyes can handle their business, it's going to be another one of those storied matchups, because I don't see that team losing to Maryland. And if the Buckeyes can handle Michigan State, it's going to be another one of those top 5 matchups between these two teams. And I just want to get your take on that game and what that kind of means up there when those teams are both ranked in the top 5, squaring off like that.
Well, we got to get through Michigan State first, so
Yeah.
Don't lose sight of that. Right, they're a good football team. Doesn't matter if we're top 5, top 20, not ranked. That rivalry will always be a special game. And I look at that game yesterday with Michigan Penn State. I mean, I hate to say it, but you break down a game and it comes down to like 5 or 6 plays. Penn State had a busted coverage and let a tight end run for 42 yards and touchdown at the end of the game with 3 minutes left. Like, how?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that was not good. I saw that.
And credit Michigan, right? They went out with a game plan to make Penn State one-dimensional. They said, look, you're not going to run the ball on us. We're going to put the ball in 14's hands, and he's got to beat us. It doesn't work, right? Like that's what teams want to do. So you take a step back and say, okay, Michigan, probably talent-wise, to your point, probably not the most talent on the field, right? Penn State had more, but this is how Michigan wins games, right? If you look at their defense, they sneakily are doing a good job of making people one-dimensional. So that's where I look at us in this game. If we continue to do that, so that'll make it tough. But I look at the weapons and what we did this last week against Purdue. We finally stretched the field and said, fine, we got our athletes. We're going to put them in space. Pick one, right? We have big plays from all of our top 4 players getting the ball. So I like where we're at. I think that matchup, after we get through Michigan State, we can start focusing on it then. But that's the biggest mistake, is to worry about Michigan right now. Better focus on Michigan State.
Yeah, there's no doubt, especially the way that Mel Tucker's got those guys playing. And, after their loss, I think this game becomes even more important to Michigan State because this is a way they can get back in. They've talked about, and Rico, me and you've talked about this a lot, that coach has done a tremendous job, only in his second year to have them playing like this. He's got them focused. And, after they went down and lost that one game, I didn't see any of their players giving up. And I think, to be able to come in and beat Ohio State would get them right back in the fold for going to the college football playoff. And I just want to know, Rico, what you see out of Coach Tucker. And we've talked about him before, but I think he's up for Coach of the Year in my mind. And I don't know if you feel the same way.
I like Coach, and I like what he's doing. You just said it. His guys don't quit playing. Like that right there is the thing that stands out. Any game that you watch, they play to the end, and that's impressive. And guys who aren't involved in sports or haven't been in that environment, you don't know how hard that is to get your team to do. Like, fight tooth and nail until the last second ticks off of the clock. It's impressive. That's heavy. So if he can do one thing, we know he can motivate his guys, and we know that he can instill finishing the game, finishing the play into his players. And man, that's the foundation of a championship program right there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I'm very impressed with them, and it makes me nervous. But you know what? I was nervous before the Purdue game, and the way they came out and started playing from the get-go, my nervousness evaporated pretty quickly because, we ran the ball. And Steve, this is what I want to ask you about. It looked to me like the offensive line was a lot better in this game. And I don't know if that had to do with having our left tackle back. I don't know if that had to do with scheme. I don't know if that had to do with, the front that we were playing against was just, not as good as maybe the Nebraska front was. But they talk about that number 5 for Purdue like he's the greatest D lineman in the world. But, we pretty much neutralized him. So I think our offensive line played a much better game yesterday, and we're going to need that going forward because we need to be able to run the ball. What was your thoughts on the O-line?
History is a great teacher. If you look at some of the past Purdue games where we've struggled, it's because they came out more physical than us, right? I mean, they set the edge on the tempo of where that offensive line and D-line were going to play. I think we chose very early, like not today, right? And so that was part of it. I just think it was the mentality. They came out knowing that they had to own the line of scrimmage. You get your guy back, that definitely helps, and it's a boost. So I also think they were trying to set the tone, like we said, for the rest of the year. Like they are going to have to win with their front seven if they're going to go to the national championship again. So time is now to keep doing it. And that's the thing. When you talk about Mel Tucker and his teams and they motivate and fight to the end, this is going to be a fight. They're going to come out and play hard. They're going to be gritty and they're going to take a punch. And we're going to have to see what we do. So, and it'll be one up front. Our offensive line will win or lose us that game. That'll be a fact.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I want to get both your all's thoughts on this because this is the big debate, right? You know, can a non-Power 5 team, you know, crack that top four? And Rico, I'll ask you first. Have you seen enough out of the Bearcats to put them in over some of these one-loss teams?
So who's? It's hard. It's hard for me not to be biased. My mind goes right to looking at who they have to play, and I'm like, no, that wouldn't be a good game. But man, I think they deserve it because you know what? Since Coach has been there, they've been doing nothing but going up. Yeah. And you know what? I have no objections towards it. I have no objections. Do I think that if they come in at 4, they'll get smoked? I do. But who am I? To say that, man? I think Coach Fickle is a heck of a coach. He's been getting some quality guys in there, and I think they definitely deserve their shot to show whether they belong or not. So I'm gonna leave it at that. They deserve the opportunity to get out there on that field and play the number 1 team in the country, and because that's how it works, right? 1, 4, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
I think they deserve it, and I think this is my thing. I think that Bama will be your national champs. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think Bama's your national champ. I think that they'll be getting a break by playing Georgia. I think Georgia may not still be there after the SEC championship, huh? So
we don't know.
That shakes things up a lot. So, but I think they deserve it, guys. They've been winning and they've been performing and taking care of business. And you can't say what if or what if this or what if that. They've been winning. They beat everybody in front of them. Give them a shot.
Yeah. No, they have. They're undefeated, but you know that their schedule. You know, they only can play who they can play, right?
That's
like you can only play who's on your schedule. At the same time, some of these games have not looked great, and I just wonder whether or not they can, you know, really hang with these other teams. And who do you take out? You know, if Georgia loses to Alabama in the SEC championship, do you leave Georgia out? I don't think so. You know, if Bama loses in the SEC championship, you leave them out. If Ohio State wins out and wins the Big Ten, do you leave Michigan out? Do you leave Michigan State? I mean, who do you leave out? I don't know. But I do, Steve, want to get your thoughts on, you know, obviously we got weeks to figure this all out, but do you think Cincinnati's done enough to earn a spot?
Yeah, so there's 2 things here. The college football ranking and the way it's set up, I hate. It's set up to have 2 teams from the Big Ten and the SEC potentially get in every year, right? Because it makes more money, and that's just a fact. I personally don't think if you don't win your championship, you should be in the playoffs, right? So that would eliminate. And hey, listen, we had Michigan and Ohio State in the same type of deal. Like, I really don't believe you should be in that top 4 if you don't win your conference.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 1 point. 2, I'm tired of put Cincinnati in there, see how they react, right? They've always had to be the underdog, chip on their shoulder. Their schedule is their schedule, and put them at number 3 where people think or they think they should be, right? They haven't lost many games in the last few years. Put them up there and see what happens.
I like it.
I mean, do it. And let's put it all to bed. But the thing is, you even saw the way the rankings were set up, right? They kept them just on the fringe where something crazy would have to happen for them to get in, which it probably will, because historically that always does. But it also was set up to potentially have 2 SEC and 2 Big Ten teams in the playoffs, which I think is fundamentally flawed. Like you shouldn't be able to win your conference and play in the national title. And he's right. There's a good chance Alabama wins this out because they're just that talented, and the coaching staff has been there. They know how to get through the playoffs. They know how to get those kids ready. That's a big deal. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, that's a great point by Rico. I mean, Bama, they expect to win. and they're in that matchup every year, and they ain't scared. So
you know what's funny? Not once have we heard anyone from the coaching staff at Alabama or even in the media say, "Oh, we're young." They have a freshman quarterback too. No one talks about that. They don't use that excuse like, "Oh, we're a young team." Like, they don't care.
No,
that's a mindset by the coaches, right? We've never heard that. They're young too.
Yeah. No. They're young every year because they do the same thing that we do. They send 12 guys to the league every season. So, everybody thinks like, oh yeah, it's Bama and it's so easy, but it's not easy to replace 12 NFL, 10 to 12 NFL players. I mean, we saw that with the Buckeyes at the beginning of the season, especially in that quarterback position. It's hard to do, but we'll see what happens. I mean, we got a lot of football left.
Yep.
Next week is going to tell us a lot with Michigan State and Ohio State. That's a huge game. And that's got a lot of ramifications. We saw Oregon. Oregon's making the Buckeyes look good, in my opinion, because they keep winning. And, I like it. I want them to win because that's our only loss. And, they've held serve. And yesterday, taking care of business against Wazoo. In fact, my player of the week was Anthony Brown, who, continues to lead them to victories quietly. And, I can see them potentially. No one's really talking about Oregon, but they've got the best shot to win the Pac-12, in my opinion. And if they win the Pac-12 and stay as a one-loss team, I think they're going to stay in the mix. Don't you guys?
Think about it. How do you keep out a Pac-12, a Big Ten, and an SEC champ, and then not have Cincinnati in the top four? Like, that to me just seems right.
Yeah.
No, and what about UTSA?
Yeah. Hey, they're undefeated too, but
well, no, we're not talking about it. I'm just saying I hadn't heard any chatter about them, and just as far as being successful this year.
Sure.
Last night I didn't catch a game or anything, but last night I was just watching ESPN, and they came across for a second, showed their record, didn't even get a shout out, fellas. It was just like, oh, undefeated. I was like, wait, what? Where have I been? It's crazy, man. They're 10-0. I think anybody with 10-0 playing football should, hey, good job.
No doubt.
Hey, they beat Illinois too. I mean, Illinois has had some big wins. Illinois knocked off Penn State. Illinois knocked off, who did they beat? They beat Wisconsin, right?
I don't remember. I think so.
They've had a couple big wins this year, and UTSA beat them. So that's a big win against a Big Ten team, and kudos to them. They've had a great season. So maybe that's maybe that's the next Cincinnati, man. I like these little programs that start winning and build something out of nothing. So we'll see what happens. But another great week, and another great show. I appreciate you, Steve, coming on and joining us and bringing us your thoughts, because we always like hearing what you got to say.
I appreciate you for having me, man.
All right, bud. Come back and see us soon if you got time. All right.
Appreciate it, Steve.
All right, bud. Peace out.
Easy.
That was Steve Bellisari, the quarterback. Ohio State always brings a lot to the table. Man, great show today. Monterio, Hardesty, Coach Mo on the broadcast, Steve Bellisari on the show, Rico McCoy. You say, who am I? I'll tell you who you are. You're former 3-time linebacker, coach of your Allen University squad. I like your opinions. I think you do a great job, and I love hearing what you got to say. So, man, I had fun today, and I'm looking forward to next week. Got to be honest, I'm a touch nervous because this is that's a big weekend for the Buckeyes, man. That Michigan State, Ohio State, that's the biggest game of the week, and all eyes are going to be on that one.
Big game. That's a big game, and I think y'all will come out on top. Y'all play like you played this past weekend, and it'll be a dub. I don't have any worries about it. It'll be tough now, but you're gonna get a dub.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm pulling for them, and I'm praying for them. Oregon's got another tough test next week too. They actually play number 24 ranked Utah, so not an easy game. Utah plays good football, And I do honestly believe that Oregon deserves a shot. If they win out, they win the Pac-12 championship, I think they deserve one of those spots because Coach Cristobal, I mean, he's got that team going in the right direction, and they're a team that believes they can win. And I'm very impressed with what he's done in his short tenure. We talk about Coach Tucker. Coach Cristobal's done a hell of a job at Oregon too.
He has. He got out there and he put the boys on the right track.
Yep.
And they're playing. Hey, look, to start the season, beating your boys, that's crazy.
That's a big win.
That's crazy amount of preparation and seizing the moment. And he got his team to buy in and believe early. Yeah, no,
that was it was one of the best game plans I've ever seen for a big game like that. And think about it. Since then, they've lost, their big running back. Vardell went down with an injury the week after that. And so they've been playing without him and, continued to roll. So kudos to the Ducks. And, man, looking forward to it. We'll talk next week and hopefully be another Buckeye victory and another step closer to the college football playoff.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
All right, man. Have a good week, and I'll talk to you real soon, okay?
Take it easy, Nate.
All right,
always a pleasure. Bye-bye.
All right, my pleasure, buddy. Man coverage, 11/14/2021, signing off. Thank everybody for listening and tuning in today. We appreciate you.